Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Flip That Zoo. I'm super excited to be getting the staffing done today. You guys will notice last episode I deleted all the staffing building and I was like, I will just take care of this later because I'm kind of trying to do one little section at a time so I can think through what I want there and what I want it to look like. And I do apologize, it's taken me a couple extra weeks to get this next video out. There's been a lot going on behind the scenes, and as you know, sometimes family just kind of takes over your life for a little bit and you kind of have to just pause everything. I do anticipate having a hopefully a weekly, if not bi-weekly, rollout from here on with this series. I'm watching myself fiddle with this pathing right now, and I will tell you that when playing Planet Zoo, I think the pathing is probably the part that is the most complicated for a lot of people, including myself. I have been playing since the day it came out, but I will say that I still have a struggle with pathing. Pathing can just be a real pain. My main thing is people ask me, how do you deal with it? What do you do? Doesn't it drive you crazy? And I'm just like, I don't let it drive me crazy. Where there's a will, there's a way. There's always a way to get your thoughts and your ideas kind of out. Sometimes you may have to change them a bit, but you can still make it happen. And there's always a rule to the path, and you just got to figure out, which you're going to see here in a minute. I was laying these buildings out, and I really wanted there to be two complete stacks of buildings, but I was like, I guess I'll just put some poles here and maybe put some the netting or fencing or something around it to make it just look like a little sitting area or something for staff. I wasn't sure what to do there, and I was a little hesitant to commit, but I was like, let's go ahead and just put up the walls which, by the way, anybody who's watching this, you can scream out, no, don't put the walls up yet. There's a reason why I should not have started putting the walls up, but I'm not going to delete it from my video. I want you guys to see that we all make mistakes. We all do things that we later on realize we should not have done, and this is one of them. I should not have started putting the walls up. The reason why is you want to finish your pathing first, to go to your buildings first, because if you don't, what'll happen is you'll end up having to redo it, because pathing, like I said, is probably one of the more complicated things of the game. It's super easy but super complicated, so, which I know is like a weird conundrum or whatnot, but yeah, so I am putting these up knowing full well, now that I've actually done this build, that this is not going to stick around. But I'm just showing it to you guys. It is kind of a neat idea. I also realized that this is completely laid wrong, so how do I fix that? I just adjust. And you'll see how I just kind of adjust it a bit and make it work. Because one is laying one way and one is laying the other, so they wouldn't conjoin properly. But anyway, as I did that, I was like, oh, I need to put pathing in. And this is something I should have done before putting the walls up, because as you'll see, the pathing does not lay right. It's too high. But I don't want to change the stairs. I like the way the stairs lay. So instead of changing the stairs, I changed the building, which is an easy fix. I just got to figure out which height the pathing is at. So it's literally just lifting and adjusting, and of course deleting all those walls while trying to figure out what is the perfect height. So the easiest way to do that is to come next to the pathing, turn it to face it, and then slide up and down until you're about as even as you can get. You can kind of see where it's even if you have a decent eye. I don't always have the best eye for it, so sometimes it'll be just a little bit off from even, but I think I did a pretty good job with this one. So then it's just adjusting to make it straight with the other buildings so that I can get the walling nicely laid out. So adjust, and then I adjust the other one to match and get the pathing to where it needs to be. And it all starts looking much better once I do that. And we'll also notice that, remember how I said pathing was tricky? There's a rule or something you're probably not following or getting when it's not working the way you want it to. Well, that's what was happening here. So I had to fix this, but then you'll notice this building over here in just a second. It's gonna happen, I swear. You'll notice I can put one on the bottom now because that pathing from up above is no longer, or the buildings from up above are no longer blocking its ability to have one raised above it. So figured out the issue. Pathing went down nice and smooth. Everything was great. And then I need to relay the walls. And I discovered from watching, like, as I was putting together the other wall, I was like, I don't like having the wide bottoms on the top level of the building. It just looked hideous. So I did not redo that. I just started over as far as those go. And this is me trying to decide whether I wanted it to be a building with a path in front or a building with a path on the inside of the building. This is in speed mode, so it took me a few seconds to kind of think about it. But yep, I decided to put the building around the pathing. And this is also when I was trying to decide whether I wanted it to be a plaza or whether I wanted it to be two separate buildings. I do end up going with two separate buildings. I just thought it looked nicer versus having one huge mammoth of a building. Which, you know, each their own. I might end up having a mammoth building at some point in time somewhere in here. If I do, I probably end up putting like staffing up top and maybe like some food vendors or something at the bottom and like toilets and such. Yeah, so this is just figuring out the layout of it so the pathing is fully covered without any parts sticking out. That's what this is right here. Me figuring out how everything should lay. And I have to go inside and delete the interior building because I'm trying to keep my piece count down. I don't want 10 million pieces for something I don't need the pieces for. And then I was like, oh, you know, I should probably put a window or two up here so it doesn't look like so stark. And then you just finish filling out the walls. I've got to find the right piece. I don't know why I grabbed the small one. The right piece to be the barrier between the two walls, and I just fill that in, and yeah, it works out very nicely. Sorry, give me one sec. All right, and then I don't know why I started with the top of the building instead of the bottom of the building, but yeah, so as I was building up, I was like, ooh, a layered look for the roof would look really nice. Which I think is like, is that Mesa housing? I don't know. I just thought it looked really nice, kind of like a Santa Fe style type situation. I'm probably naming the wrong things. And then I decided to go with a different height and just kind of make it look really cool as far as the building leveling. And using flat mud pieces as a roof. So it just kind of gives it this interesting pop. Anyway, so you'll see me kind of do that. I'm going to kind of let you watch for a few moments while that fills in. And don't ever be afraid. Like, there are pieces here that as I'm editing, I notice that they're sticking out through the walls, and I'm going to have to go in and fix those. Sometimes you don't notice these things until you're in edit mode, and you're like, why did I leave that like that? So I know I'm going to have to go in and fix a few things, but that's fine. That's part of building, is adjusting again, adjusting more. And when you're editing, you have a different point of view. I'm not sitting there in there trying to build and get my ideas across. I'm now editing and watching what I did, and I'm like, oh, I shouldn't have done that. So yeah, there's a few things that I'm going to adjust and fix that you guys are going to see in the like the thumbnails of the screenshots. You'll notice they're fixed. Also, when I put it on the workshop, you'll notice that it's fixed. But right now, it is not fixed. So you'll see a few little tidbits that need to be repaired after I finish editing. So this was me trying to think through how I was going to do that, because those edges were not going to match, and lo and behold, those little poles come out again, and I'm like, oh, this is perfect. It's kind of like trim for the building. So I was very excited about these poles because it kind of makes those edges that look a little off, makes them look less off. And then I could just cover it with foliage later. No big deal. So here I just finished putting that on all the edges, or all the visible edges by the customers. And then I go to putting the walls on the other building, which now that I've got a premise of what I want it to look like in my head as far as buildings go, I just kind of pop it all together. And at first I was like, let's put a door here. And then afterwards you'll notice that I kind of just put a regular wall up because I don't understand why I made a door there. I mean, I guess maybe eventually one day, but I don't see any other staff needs on this side. Maybe to get to that habitat faster, but it's not going to be much faster. The other entrance is literally right there. So I'll think about it. I might end up adding a doorway and a path to it, but for right now, you'll see it ends up just being a regular wall. And then I'm trying to figure out the arch here because I want it to be this big grand arch, and then I figure out these pieces and it looks kind of wrong, and then I realize, oh wait, they have other pillars that I can connect and make it look a little more, because I figure this small building I wanted to have kind of a grand arch because it would make it a little more prominent against that big massive building that's right next to it. So I thought it looked kind of cool. And then we go back to basically the same idea or premise of a roof as the other building, and I get the different, like the staggered roof style to where it just, I think it gives it a unique architectural look to it. I also did not put it center because I didn't want it to be center. I wanted it to have this kind of off center, different height type situation. And I think I pulled it off. I think it looks really neat. Like, it just looks unique versus perfection. It looks unique in my opinion. And then we move on to windows, and I decided that after playing with these pieces of glass, which at first that's what I thought I was going to go with, I changed my mind. Like, you'll see me change my mind. I'm like, I don't like that. And then I end up putting windows there instead, which I think gives it this, I don't know, it gives it this pop, this different feel, because it's kind of on the outside. It's got the texture to it, so I think it gives it a different feel than the glass on the inside of the mud gives it. The inside of the mud, I just thought it gave it a very flat sensation or feeling, so I liked these windows. And then I decided to go ahead and bring them over to both buildings that kind of tied them together. And you'll notice that on the buildings, the windows are on two different levels. This big building, the windows are on the top level. The little building, the windows are on the bottom level. I did that on purpose. I kind of wanted it to look different, and I also thought I was going to put some artwork on the top of this small building. I didn't think this big building needed artwork on the side right there in the front because of the huts. And as I'm thinking about it, I don't know when I thought about it. I think I thought about it right around here. I think I ended up putting the idea of putting artwork on that flat wall right there to your left. So I wanted to make sure the windows that were closest to where the customers would come into the building, they looked kind of unique, so they kind of stood out. Also kind of closed off a little bit, because I think this would be the place where customers would be able to see inside the easiest. So I thought these little sunshades would kind of help keep out the wandering eyes of the customers, I guess you could say. And then I realized, oh, I didn't finish these. I need to actually go inside and finish the walls on this lower building. And I grabbed the wrong one, which is easy to do, by the way. These mud walls, they're sneaky. They're very sneaky. So just finishing that, filling it in, filling in the gaps, realizing that there's another funky piece right there. Not even sure how that happened. So guess what comes to the rescue? Our beautiful pole. Exactly. So I'm straightening it out because I realized it was a little crooked. So I just slide that over, put that in place, lift it up a bit because the edge of the walls are a little bit higher here. And yep, Bob's your uncle. I now have a beautiful pole. It's exciting. And then you'll see that I notice on the other building it's off center, so I move that, which gives it this weird gap thing. So at first I was like, oh, easy, pole. And then I was like, no, the pole doesn't quite work right here. So what I end up doing instead, after I adjusted a few times and realized I hate it, is I grab the pillars from the other building, kind of ties them together, honestly. Having that little bit of a round on this building as well as the other building. So I don't mind it. I think it's kind of cool. I might even pull it out a little bit and make it more of a noticeable thing. And then we need doors. I think we need doors because I think that's the part that the customers are going to be able to look straight down and see what all the employees are doing. So that gives it a little bit of privacy for the employees, as well as the customers shouldn't be able to look in and see those types of things. They shouldn't be able to look inside and see the break room of the employees. So, and then this is me trying to figure out which wood pieces to use, which, by the way, I love these brown wood pieces. They're probably one of my favorite things to use. You guys will see them in a lot of my builds or my zoos. I just think they're so architecturally, like, unique and pretty. And then I'm just adjusting and fixing the heights and the angles of these doors, making sure they kind of are matching each other in a way. Because, I want it to look like a door frame would, like they would complement each other and be level. So I fix all of that, and then I create a one-piece section out of them, and I copy and put them over on the other side, because I figure these are the door entrances that customers are going to be able to see the easiest from where they're walking. And I just put them over here as well. Uniformity is a beautiful thing. And this is when I was like, oh, never mind, I don't want a door there. Told you it was coming. I warned you ahead of time. It was coming. But yeah, I think these are really coming together nicely at this point. I was gonna put the door there, but then I was like, no, not gonna work. And then this is when I was like, oh yeah, I need to put the artwork on the side of the walls, because I could have put windows here, but the back wall, the back way, has so much in the way of windows. Plus the window wouldn't go anywhere, so it would kind of be weird. It'd be like going into one of those houses where you have a door that goes to nothing. I think it would internally irritate me. So instead of having it make me itch every time I thought about it, I decided not to do that. And I just let's go decorate it and put monkeys, because who doesn't love monkeys? Most kids and adults love going to see the monkeys. So I was like, oh, this will look cool. We'll put monkeys on the side. Yeah, so now I'm going to start polishing the place up, putting foliage and trees and all the beautiful stuff everywhere. You guys are probably going to see it speed up even more than it has been. I'm not sure. Yep, and just as I thought, while I'm laying the foliage, things start speeding up a little bit. Which, I mean, picking each individual rock and each individual plant can be a little bit tiring, so I think that's why I sped this up a bit here for this part. Don't worry, I slow it back down here in a second, because I'm trying to pick out the perfect tree and how to kind of cover that area but make it look beautiful at the same time. And then I was like, oh, sign, I need a sign saying staff only, or staff or something. And I realized that the sign is upside down because you can see the arrows are pointing the wrong way, but I was like, I'll fix it afterwards. I just need to get it up for right now. And then back to more foliage. I actually get an idea for a centerpiece to kind of go right here, and that's what I'm doing right now. I'm building a platform for the artwork, and I wasn't sure what I wanted. I know I wanted one of the statue pieces that kind of comes in the game, and I ended up going with the lion, because I mean, that's another one of the beloved animals in the zoos that the customers love to come to see, and there are going to be a lot of lions in this zoo, so I figured it was very fitting. I actually, now that I'm watching my editing, I think I'm going to actually go in there and turn that just a little bit counterclockwise, just to face the people a little bit better than it is. Right now it's a little bit more flat. I kind of want it to be a little more angled. I'm not sure. I'll look at it when I go back in. Then I realized that you kind of see the buildings from these archways that I was leaving open, so I decided to decorate those. And I was leaving this one open, so I went ahead and decorated those just in case customers could see it from a distance. I wanted it to look, presentable, like you do, and I kind of figured it doesn't really matter if it's perfect, so I'll just plop these here, be all good to go. And then I was like, okay, so I mentioned artwork on the other building, and I was like, we could just have a match. It doesn't bother me that they're matching because it's both staff buildings. So when you're telling people, yeah, go see the staff at the staff building, you can be like, look for the monkeys on the side of the building, and they're both staff, and that works. I don't know if you guys have ever been to a zoo or a place like that. My daughter worked at one, and it was like, yeah, just go to the building with the big, I think it was a koala, with the big koala on the side, and that's how you'll find the staff entrance. And I'm just like, oh, because I went to go bring her lunch, and I was like, this place is ginormous. I have no idea where to go. They're like, oh, just go to the building with the koala on the side. You can't miss it. It's over there. And they point in the direction, and you look over, and you see these big koalas on the side. It was ginormous. And then I realized I wanted a centerpiece over here as well. Don't worry, it's not going to be identical. I just wanted the rocks to be kind of identical, but the statue is going to be different. I'm going to change the foliage just a tad. I wanted elephants. So I put a pair of elephants because I thought it looked really neat. And I was like, ooh, a tree right behind it. No, maybe 2 trees. So I fiddle with it and I figure out which 2 trees I want and how I want it to lay out. But I know this place also needs to be decked out with foliage, so it's less noticeable by the customers. So it blends and looks beautiful, and you don't really see all the going-ons behind the scenes, so to speak, because that's how it would be if you went to a zoo or a theme park or whatever. And then I wanted to make sure I at least started the pathing to go to what I know is going to be other, I don't know if it's just going to be one habitat or multiple habitats, because right now there's a big, huge, African safari. And I kind of made it to where it had that beautiful curve. I love that kind of, I don't know if I want to call it a cheat, but hack that you can do with the pathing. I think I learned that my first weekend on Planet Zoo. And then I was like, oh wait, speaking of, work zones need to kind of be adjusted because we're adding staffing back in, and nobody has staffing anymore. So, well, in that area. So I was just making sure that the habitats in that area had staffing, because in case I work on stuff paused or unpaused or whatever, at least the animals won't get injured or harmed or not fed or whatever while I was working on stuff. Because even as we're changing the habitats in the zoo and upgrading everything, we need to make sure our animals are healthy and safe while we do so. Because this is still a franchise zoo, so I've got to make sure everybody stays, kosher and healthy. And then I realized there was no plants around these kind of wrapping areas where the customers walk. So I wanted to make sure there was some near the pathing and near the building as well, just to kind of break up that blank space. Yeah, so that's it, guys. What do you think? Let me know. I hope you guys liked it. Please subscribe. Thank you so much for coming. Ring that bell.
all those really cool YouTube things, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.